Social action. Social action. Meaning. Social action refers to collective efforts undertaken by individuals or groups to bring about social change, address social injustices, or improve societal conditions. It involves planned and organized activities aimed at influencing policies, institutions, and public opinion for the betterment of disadvantaged communities. Max Weber, a prominent sociologist, introduced the concept of social action to describe actions carried out by individuals that take into account the behavior of others and are thereby oriented in their course. He emphasized that social action is not just any action but one that considers and is influenced by the actions and reactions of other individuals. Definitions of social action. Mary Richmond, 1922. Social action is mass betterment through propaganda and social legislation. H. E. Fichter, 1954. Social action is a legally sanctioned action to bring about change in a social situation. Brito, 1984. Social action is an organized effort to change or improve social and economic institutions to benefit a group or community. Paul Chaudhary, 1992. A method used by social workers to bring about structural changes in social institutions to correct social injustices and inequalities. Porter Lee, 1937. Lee suggested that social action involves efforts directed towards changes in law or social structure or towards initiating new movements to modify current social practices. Grace Coyle, 1937. Coyle defined social action as the attempt to change the social environment in ways that will make life more satisfactory, aiming to affect not individuals but social institutions, laws, customs, and communities. Arthur Dunham, 1940. Dunham viewed social action as legally permissible action by a group, or by an individual trying to promote group action, for the purpose of furthering objectives that are both legal and socially desirable. History of social action. Social action has its roots in historical movements for social justice and human rights. Some key historical developments include early religious and reform movements. Many religious leaders and philosophers, such as Buddha, Jesus Christ, and Prophet Muhammad, advocated for social justice and equality. Industrial Revolution, 18th to 19th century, led to movements addressing labor rights, child labor, and workplace safety. Freedom and civil rights movements, 20th century. Mahatma Gandhi's Satyagraha, Martin Luther King Jr.'s civil rights movement, and Nelson Mandela's anti-apartheid struggle were major examples of social action. Contemporary social action focuses on gender equality, environmental justice, human rights, and anti-corruption initiatives. The evolution of social action has been influenced by various scholars and practitioners. Max Weber. Weber's introduction of the concept laid the groundwork for understanding individual actions within a social context. Sidney Maslin, 1947. Maslin limited the scope of social action by considering it mainly concerned with securing legislation to meet mass problems. Baldwin, 1966. Baldwin broadened the scope by emphasizing bringing about structural changes in the social system through social action. Walter Friedlander, 1963. Friedlander defined social action as an individual, group, or community effort within the framework of social work philosophy and practice that aims to achieve social progress, modify social policies, and improve social legislation and health and welfare services. Goals of social action. Mishra, 1992, identified several objectives of social action. Prevention of unfulfilled needs, addressing gaps to ensure basic needs are met. Solution of mass problems, tackling widespread societal issues affecting large populations. Improvement of mass conditions, enhancing the overall living conditions of communities. Influencing institutions, policies, and practices, shaping and modifying existing structures to better serve society. Introduction of new mechanisms or programs, implementing innovative solutions to emerging social challenges. Redistribution of power and resources, ensuring a more equitable distribution of societal assets. Social action as a method of social work. In the context of social work, social action is a method used to mobilize communities and bring about structural changes. The process involves several stages, often inspired by the Sarvodaya movement and Gandhian philosophy. Prakar, publicity spreading awareness about social issues to inform and educate the public. Parakaya, introduction introducing the community to the issues and the proposed actions to address them. Adhyayan, study conducting in-depth research and analysis of the social problems to understand their root causes. Sahavasa, living with people engaging closely with the affected communities to build trust and gather first-hand insights. Seva, service providing direct services to meet immediate needs and alleviate suffering. Pradikar, resistance organizing collective resistance against oppressive structures or policies. Nirman, construction work or community service implementing constructive programs aimed at community development and empowerment. Building a climate for change, creating an environment conducive to sustainable social transformation. Models of social action. Social action models can be broadly classified into two categories. 1. Elitist social action. Elitist social action involves initiatives led by a small group of educated or resourceful individuals who influence policies, laws, and economic structures to bring about social change. A. Legislative social action model. This model focuses on legal and policy changes to bring social justice. Social activists lobby for new laws or amendments to existing laws to protect marginalized communities. Example, Anti-Untouchability Laws, Right to Information, RTI, Act, Child Labor, Prohibition and Regulation, Act. B. Economic Sanction Model. This model uses financial and economic pressure to enforce social change. Tactics include boycotts, divestment, sanctions, and economic non-cooperation. Example, the Swadeshi movement in India, economic sanctions against apartheid-era South Africa. C. Direct physical model. In this model, activists directly intervene to enforce social justice, sometimes through protests or resistance. It includes strikes, demonstrations, and sit-ins. Example, the Salt March led by Mahatma Gandhi, civil rights movement protests in the USA. 2. Popular social action. Popular social action emphasizes grassroots mobilization where communities themselves take action for their rights. A. Brito's model. Developed by Father Brito in India. Focuses on raising awareness among marginalized communities and empowering them through education and self-reliance. Example, community-based self-help groups. B. Paulo Freire's model. Inspired by Paulo Freire's pedagogy of the oppressed. Emphasizes critical consciousness, conscientization, where the oppressed become aware of their situation and take collective action. Example, literacy movements among the rural poor. C. Dialectical mobilization model. Based on Marxist theory. Views social action as a struggle between the oppressed and the oppressors. Encourages mass movements and revolutions to challenge unjust social structures. Example, peasant movements and labor union strikes. D. Direct mobilization model. Focuses on organizing people at the grassroots level for protests, advocacy, and direct action. Example, the Chipko movement, tree-hugging movement to prevent deforestation in India. E. Loka Sakti model of social action. Loka Sakti means people's power. Encourages decentralized, community-led initiatives. Empowers local communities to take charge of their development and fight social injustices. Example, Gram Sabhas, village assemblies, and decentralized governance models.
Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you in next video.